Rockstars, and welcome to a new video. So this is a video on how to properly drill out and then dimple the baffle for your valve cover. So I'm going to have Eddie take it away from here.
Do you know what you're looking at? This baffle doesn't have any holes, so the oil just sits on top of it and basically gets sucked out the PVC. Starting on this, we got to drill all these sonic welds. I already started a pilot in each one. We're going to take a 29/64. Now that we have our pilot, so I'm going to center it. Takes out the whole sonic weld. Do another one. There's 17 of these things, so you got to do 17 times. These bolts are Loctited in there, so they will show some resistance. And sometimes they break, so hopefully you don't have that problem. Now that white smoke is Loctite. We have our bolts off. We're ready to remove our baffle. So hopefully drill out all the sonic welds. Oh, I forgot. They need to be washed. Now that we have our baffle off, the important thing, the reason why I didn't drill through all the way and start drilling the hole for the bolts where the sonic bolts were, because now that it's off, we can see where the bolts are going to go exactly. If you just try to drill through, you can't tell through the baffle, and you could have a bolt off to the side. So it's important to do it this way. So now that we have our baffle off, we're going to drill the holes for the M6 bolts that we're going to use. We're going to drill some holes and then we're going to tap them. So really important part here is you don't want to drill through the valve cover, because then that's going to cause a lot of problems. So I've already pre-marked our drill bit on how deep to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill this hole and basically stop when the tape gets to the bottom. And that's our hole right there. So we're going to do this 17 more times because there's 17 holes where the sonic welds were. And we're going to just start tapping it. Give it a little tappy tap. Tap it right in the hole. Tap, tap, tap it right. Give it tap it in. Tap it in. And we're going to run this until it bottoms out. Once it bottoms out, do not continue. You will break the tap in there and you will be screwed. If the tap keeps going and doesn't stop, you probably went too far and went right through your valve cover. I don't recommend that because oil will come out of that hole. Now we have our baffle off. We're gonna drill out all the holes that we started with, the 17 holes. We're gonna drill out to a 19/64. Drill bit runs through pretty easy. This will give us space when we go to bolt it back on. So 17 times, obviously. And then we're gonna begin drilling this holes so the oil will drain, so it doesn't just sit in front of the PCV and get sucked out. Now that we got our holes drilled for baffle, they're in certain locations so the oil drains out. The holes are drilled, but we got to deburr everything and then we got to dimple the holes so that way the oil wants to naturally flow out rather than sitting in there. That'll be the next thing I'll show you. So now that we have our holes drilled for our baffle, we're going to actually deburr them, which I already did. Now we're going to actually dimple them. So a couple ways you can do this: get a nice round punch because we want it to kind of be dimpled in. You might be able to do it by hand, use a punch, The metal is soft, so it will bend pretty easily. If you bend it too much, don't worry about it. You can always bend it back. Now that we have our baffle drilled, dimpled, and deburred, you want to come zoom in on this right here. You see how it's dimpled down. The oil now, instead of just sitting up there in front of the PCV, it'll actually drain out, so it doesn't just sit up there waiting to get sucked out the PCV valve. Now that we're done with that, but I did it better because I actually drilled the holes and dimpled them, so the oil actually does go out the holes. Because I was seeing that they weren't doing that, it's kind of didn't make sense. That I figured out. Holes drilled. We're putting our baffle back on. We tapped our holes with M6. Now we're putting our bolts in. We start all the bolts and actually make sure everything gets started. The holes are usually pretty centered. They might be a little off, so just kind of make sure you center them all up as much as best you can. We're going to use Loctite on our bolts as well because you don't want these falling out into your engine while it is running. That wouldn't be a good thing.
Alrighty guys, while Eddie is finishing tightening these bolts on this baffling, I just wanted to mention that if you want this mod done, we could have it done for you. It's good for NA, good for turbo, supercharged, you name it. Or if you're interested in changing your valve cover paint, let us know.
It's real important you don't want to torque these down too tight. You don't want to pull the threads. I've done that when we were experimenting with this project before, trying to find how deep we can drill these holes and how tight we can tighten the bolts. So it's real important to use a red Loctite. The Loctite's going to be resistant to heat, and it's going to hold that bolt from falling out. Once we got all our 17 bolts in, we can actually put in the 6 factory bolts that hold the bolted part of the baffle to the valve cover. Okay, now this is what the finished product looks like. We have all our bolts bolted on, Loctite. You can see our baffle holes all right here by the PCV and any other areas where the oil can get trapped. It can actually drain out now. They're not just drilled, but they're dimpled. The reason that's really important that you pull this baffle off, because a lot of people, what they do is they drill the holes from here, and when you're drilling the holes, not only are you leaving the chance for metal to stay in there and get in your motor, but you're also pushing the metal outward where the oil is not really going to drain out. It's actually going to go around the holes. So by taking the baffle off, you can actually drill these proper and dimple them so the pointed down, so the oil actually does drain out. That's pretty much it for this mod. Time to put the valve cover back on and
yo, kiss my ass.
Alrighty, ladies and gentle rock stars, thanks again for watching. Please stay tuned for updates. We'll be making more videos, and if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching again. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. You don't have to if you don't want to.